entire VideoTours library is available for purchase by corporations, educators, and individuals.
Asheville, North Carolina, a storybook setting in the misty Blue Ridge Mountains. In a storybook, this would be a place where dreams come true. A century ago, George Washington Vanderbilt came to this mountain resort and envisioned a home. In a few years, he'd bring that vision to life. He called it Biltmore Estate. And the vision is alive today. To enter Biltmore Estate today is to step back in time to a period Mark Twain called the Gilded Age. One name instantly evokes the era, with images of vast wealth and opulent lifestyles: Vanderbilt. There was the Commodore, Cornelius Vanderbilt, who built the family fortune through shipping and railroad enterprises. And his son, William Henry, who guided its tremendous growth. But the Gilded Age at its height was the world of the Commodore's grandchildren. Their activities dominated the society pages. Their Beaux-Arts palaces loomed over Central Park and still gazed down on the sea at Newport. Born in 1862 and the youngest of William Henry Vanderbilt's children, George Washington Vanderbilt grew into a cultured man who preferred literature, art, and travel to the social whirl of New York and Newport. Yet he too appreciated comfort and enjoyed entertaining family and friends. The home he dreamed of would be a showcase for his literary and artistic collections, and an ideal setting for entertaining guests. But it would also be a part of a working country estate. Like those he'd visited in Europe, his private home would be the heart of a productive community. The place would be called Biltmore, built after the Holland region where the Vanderbilts originated, and more, the Old English word for rolling upland country. The working country estate George Vanderbilt envisioned more than a century ago lives and thrives today. One of the few historic sites in the U.S. still privately owned and fully self-supporting. It was considered a remarkable achievement in his own time, even for a man of Mr. Vanderbilt's resources. But he had high standards, and the men with whom he worked were among the foremost talents of his time. One was the renowned architect Richard Morris Hunt. He'd created several Vanderbilt mansions and designed, among many other structures, the base of the Statue of Liberty, and the facade of the New York Metropolitan Museum of Art. The other was the noted landscape architect Frederick Law Olmsted, who designed countless American campuses and parks. Perhaps his best-known work is New York's Central Park. Olmsted would create the splendid setting while Hunt designed the jewel at its heart. Biltmore House. Construction began late in 1889 with a 3-mile railway spur built from the construction site to the railroad station, and a village erected to house workers and mills. Sawmills and brick factories churned out materials. Trains unloaded tons of Indiana limestone and Italian marble, and an army of Americans and Europeans labored diligently. Among them were the skilled stonecutters who carved these intricate designs and fantastical figures. This handsome tile work was created by another talented craftsman, Raphael Guastavino. His patented Guastavino tile art system laid thin layers of terracotta tiles in cement with overlapping joints. The result was strong, beautiful, and fireproof. Hundreds of artisans and workers, tons of materials. The sheer scope of the undertaking impressed even Olmsted, who was accustomed to large projects. Yet the great house officially opened on Christmas Eve, 1895. It had taken only 5 years to build. The opening celebration was the first of many events in a house designed for entertaining. Both during his bachelor days and long after George Vanderbilt married Edith Stuyvesant Dresser in 1898, Biltmore would become a synonym for gracious hospitality. Hunt's creation resembled the French Renaissance chateau Mr. Vanderbilt had always admired. Within, though, it offered American comfort and every modern convenience. For all its immensity, the fairy tale palace was a marvel of efficiency. And immense it was. Some 4 acres of floor space. About 250 rooms. Including 32 guest bedrooms and 43 bathrooms. Though it boasted 65 fireplaces, Biltmore House was one of the first private homes to use central heating. 3 boilers and a system of radiators. Shafts and vents warmed the upper floors. In summer, incoming air cooled in the shafts and circulated via the same system. The house was fully electric, and its dynamo generated most of the current. Its state-of-the-art technology also included telephones, 2 elevators, fire alarms, refrigeration, and an elaborate system of indoor plumbing. Today's visitors see Biltmore much as it was at the turn of the century. The objects on view are original to the house, acquired by Mr. Vanderbilt himself. In this beautifully preserved setting, we capture glimpses of the past. Of the feast Biltmore House offered for all the senses. There would be morning tea, served in the privacy of a luxurious guest room. Informal meals in the breakfast room. A 7-course dinner in the banquet hall. There would be lively conversation and music. Popular songs on the Victrola. The classical strains of a string quartet, or the romantic sweep of the waltz. Guests would talk and laugh over parlor games. Or spend quiet hours at chess. This masculine domain reveals another custom of a bygone era. Here, after dinner, Victorian gentlemen adjourn to talk, play cards or billiards, and savor their fine cigars and brandy. Both sexes could sample the library's treasures. With easy access from guest rooms for late-night readers. The library was designed to accommodate the 18th century ceiling painting by Giovanni Pellegrini. The Chariot of Aurora was brought to Biltmore from Venice's Pisani Palace. It is one of the late Baroque artist's most important existing major works. In Europe, over the course of 2 world wars, bombs destroyed most of the others. Mr. Vanderbilt appreciated art in many forms and of many cultures. There are works by Durer and Renoir, as well as Whistler and Sargent, his contemporaries. In a collection which spans the ages, artists of Mr. Vanderbilt's own time play a major role. One was the sculptor Carl Bitter, whose artistry includes the center sculpture of the Winter Garden. The banquet hall's friezes and statues of Saint Louis and Joan of Arc, and the library's mythical figures. While Biltmore offered every sort of exercise for the mind, physical activity was by no means neglected, even indoors. Downstairs, one of the first indoor bowling alleys. A ping pong table, complete with paddles and English ping pong balls. And a heated swimming pool. Since Victorian ladies did not work out, the gymnasium was another all-male domain. A few steps further, we recall the downstairs became the domain of the domestic servants. Biltmore's house and stables employed some 80 people. From lady's maid and house steward down through the hierarchy, Biltmore House staff were an essential part of daily life. The well-designed service areas also boasted the latest in domestic technology. In the butler's pantry, electric warmers and refrigerators kept food at the right temperature. At serving time, manual and electric dumbwaiters swiftly carried meals to their destinations. And electric coils dried linens and clothes. Efficiency, though, is only part of the picture. The comfortable, attractive living quarters reflect employers concerned for others' well-being. It took many people to create the gracious life of Biltmore, and most worked behind the scenes, as they do today. Organizing, cleaning, repairing. To maintain and preserve Biltmore Estate for future generations, the key word today is conservation. From preserving papers and books, to preserving furniture, to conserving fragile 16th century tapestries. Done entirely in-house, the process requires special equipment, custom built by estate staff. Even the natural dyes must be formulated in-house to match the subtle colorings of centuries-old yarns. In the tapestry studio, the meticulous work of repair goes on for many months until at last the tapestry is ready to be rehung. Outside the house, maintenance and conservation preserve a 100-year-old landscape design. Olmsted used nature to create the drama of the 3-mile approach road. Winding through forest ravines, until at last house and mountains appear in all their grandeur. With the mountains as dramatic backdrop, he created about the house a harmonious blend of formal gardens and naturalistic byways. All reflect Olmsted's belief that viewing a landscape should provide unconscious recreation and a sense of peace. The handsome conservatory Hunt designed supplies, as it did a century ago, many of the flowers and plants for the house. The azalea garden contains one of the country's most complete collections of native azaleas. And at the garden's end, the tranquil bass pond. As with the house's interior, maintenance outdoors is ongoing. Preserving Olmsted's work calls for large projects as well, such as the restoration of the Bass Pond's intricate flume system designed to control silt buildup. Besides formal and informal gardens, Olmsted's design included plans for farmland, rolling pastures, and woodlands. These woodlands represent a pioneering effort in forestry management and conservation. In the 1890s, most of this area was overlogged, overfarmed, and badly eroded. Gifford Pinchot, the first formally trained American forester, planned and directed the forest renovations, the first comprehensive forest plan in the Western Hemisphere. Dr. Carl A. Schenck was hired to supervise planting, lumbering, and experimental areas. The Biltmore School of Forestry he and Mr. Vanderbilt founded trained many of the country's first foresters. Today, a vast tract of the woodlands they restored is part of Pisgah National Forest. Like the European estates which inspired it, Biltmore was designed to be self-sufficient, and a key element was agriculture. Mr. Vanderbilt took a keen interest in the estate's crops, pig and chicken farms, and dairy operations, where he applied scientific farming and stock breeding methods. Agriculture still contributes to Biltmore's vitality. Of the original 125,000 acres, 8,000 remain, and a large portion of these continue to support livestock and produce crops. Though fully in keeping with the working estate concept, one crop is a recent innovation: the European grapes growing on the estate's western slopes, used in making Biltmore estate wines and Method Champenois sparkling wine. Hunt designed these buildings for dairy operations, which used the latest technology. A century later, they house state-of-the-art winemaking facilities. Under a European winemaster's guidance, Biltmore has produced several award-winning wines, and the distinctive Biltmore Estate label is becoming a familiar sight on American tables. Another thriving enterprise is Deer Park Restaurant. Designed by Mr. Hunt as a dairy barn, its name comes from the nearby area Mr. Vanderbilt set aside as a deer preserve. Today, these beautiful animals still grace the surrounding forests. Agricultural efforts, winery, and restaurant, the stable cafe, and the estate's gift shops. All these enterprises carry on Biltmore's tradition of earning its own way. Another ongoing tradition is hospitality and entertainment. The Vanderbilts marked Christmas, the arrival of spring, and other happy occasions with memorable events for their guests. The celebrations continue today. Christmas at Biltmore, Victorian style. The Spring Festival of Flowers. Biltmore Estate Evenings. These are just a few of the festivities visitors can enjoy throughout the year. Today, as in the Vanderbilts' time, every guest is warmly welcomed. Since 1930, when Biltmore first opened to the public, visitors from near and far have come to view its treasures and take a journey into the glittering era of the Gilded Age. Biltmore's guests are also its patrons. Admission revenues and purchases of Biltmore products support ongoing conservation to keep Mr. Vanderbilt's vision as bright and vital as it was a century ago. He planned his estate to earn its own way while it gave guests pleasure. The plan succeeded, perhaps beyond his imaginings. A piece of American history, his home is alive and productive, a visual treasure, a feast for all the senses. Years ago, in this storybook setting, George Vanderbilt made his beautiful dream come true. Today, Biltmore Estate is a beautiful reality for all of us.
The entire VideoTours library is available for purchase by corporations, educators, and individuals.